The 2020 MotoGP season was the year that was, and by that I mean what a year it was. Months of delays, masks on the podium, socially distanced celebrations, Valentino Rossi forced onto the sidelines. Coronavirus did its very best to just pile on the misery in 2020, but no matter how hard COVID-19 tried, it just couldn't derail what was a mega season of MotoGP racing. As unpredictable in 2020 in the same way MotoGP had admittedly become rather predictable in recent years, there was joy, there were tears, there was no Marc Marquez. However, while we'd like to think that everyone's a winner, baby, in reality they are not. So strap in for the first part of our Winners and Losers 2020 review and let us know if we're spot on or if you think we're wrong. Go on, we're always game for a good old comment spat. And of course, please like and subscribe because winter may be here, but we're going nowhere and we have heating bills to pay. Just kidding. Do it because we have lots of lovely audio-visual entertainment coming your way. So, you're down the bookies in March and you've got a tenner or so to pop on who you think will be crowned the 2020 MotoGP World Champion. Marquez? Odds on. Dovizioso? Maybe. Vinales and Quartararo? Yeah, we could see that. But Joan Mir? Nah. We'd say joke is on you, but we don't imagine anyone beyond Joan's mum would have felt too compelled to put Mir, who was a second-year rider on a good but unproven Suzuki package with a best finish of 5th, down as your top tip. And we're including Joan here himself. The rest, as they say, is history. Mir's stealthy snowball of a season striking rivals down when they least expected it, as his process of consistency battled it out with the win-it-bin-it approach of his nearest rivals. Round 4 saw a first podium, 3 more had followed by round 8, and by round 11 he was in front overall, albeit without having stepped foot on the top step of the podium yet. Of course, Valencia changed all this, Mir picking his moment to frankly knock it out of the park, with timing so impeccable he could be a comedian. If we were surprised, humble, polite and almost embarrassed Joan was even more so, which just makes him even more of a winner in our eyes. Well, that escalated quickly. Marc Marquez went from hero to zero in just 21 laps of the 2020 season, and in an instant his quest for a 7th MotoGP world title was gone. Marquez is no stranger to accidents, of course, for all of his wins and success. It's remarkable how many times he actually crashes over a course of a season, just not in a race. However, the luck ultimately ran out in Jerez, and while no one ever wants to see a rider hurt, his foolhardy attempts to suck it up, as he has done in the past, and go for the heroic comeback tag of riding just 3 days after major surgery, just seems a bit bewildering now at the end of the season he'd actually played a part in. Of course, Marquez's second surgery, prompted when he aggravated the injury opening a window, kicked open the door for everyone else, and save for Marc's fans, we won't lie when we say it probably gave us the best season in a long time. But Marc is a champion, and it is a champion we want to see next year, where he might well find a very different set of hungry rivals baying for his blood, when, or if, he returns back to his very best in 2021. There is no I in team, and for all of Joan Mir's precise, unflustered and focused riding style, it's nothing without having the bike beneath him to achieve it on. Indeed, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone begrudging Suzuki a return to the top for the first time in 20 years, perhaps with the exception of Mir's predecessor Andrea Iannone. In a year that saw the toys thrown out of the pram over at Ducati, Suzuki, where loyalty, camaraderie and unquestionable work ethic rule, the good guys certainly didn't finish last. Under the stewardship of Davide Brivio, who steered Yamaha to plenty of success in the 1990s and 2000s, Suzuki has meticulously evolved the GSX-RR from a solid contender to a race-winning one, and now a title-winning one. It's a cliche, but here it applies perfectly when we say that Suzuki's 2020 title was years in the making, which just makes it all the more deserving. When Suzuki returned to MotoGP in 2015, it was one of 2 teams to be doing so, the other being Aprilia. Come 2020, as Suzuki toasts its title glory, Aprilia is peering up from the bottom of the constructors' standings for the 5th consecutive season. While Suzuki admittedly had more of a recent history in MotoGP, having quit in 2011, compared to Aprilia, which hadn't competed since 2004, it was still coming back with 3 World Superbike titles in 5 years firmly under its belt. After all, even KTM, which had debuted outright in 2017, had been winning races by 2020. After all, Aleix Espargaro admitted he wanted to cry when he threw his leg over the new, seemingly revolutionised Aprilia RSGP with its new engine back in February. But at the end of the season, he may find himself wanting to weep for a different reason. In Aprilia's defence, it appears to be playing catch-up constantly, in the sense that every time they think they've made a big leap forward, it transpires that everyone else has too. Aprilia's story of 2020 reads eerily similar to that of 2019. Flashes of form, such as a second-row start here, the odd Q2 showing there, gave way to races in which the RSGP didn't have the performance of its rivals, while all too often we'd see one of its riders propped up on the sidelines after a crash or a technical issue. There has been speculation that the RSGP's engine, the centrepiece of this revolution, lost its edge when it was turned down to preserve it. It also didn't help that it was caught up in Andrea Iannone's drug suspension and a subsequent failed appeal, when it stood by its man only to look a tad foolish when his ban was extended and it was frozen out of the rider market. The fact that 3 Moto2 riders, that being Joe Roberts, Marco Bezzecchi and Fabio Di Gianantonio, have each turned down the factory ride for 2021, rather speaks volumes of where Aprilia is right now. Save for a lucky few at a selection of races, spectators were sorely missed at this year's events. But MotoGP at least did its bit by ensuring the racing remained of the highest quality, even if the edge of the seat was now on the sofa rather than in the grandstands. In its place, MotoGP has done a good job of filling the time before the first race, with esports championships involving both the MotoGP riders, cue some very funny moments, and professional sim racers. Indeed, it's been a trying year for everyone, but the fans themselves deserve credit for being patient before doing their bit by returning in their droves, while staying at home when the season did get underway. For an hour at least on a Sunday afternoon, coronavirus was happily forgotten. But of course the fans really did miss out, and it was a shame not to have them at the circuits in 2020, missing out on seeing such brilliant action right in front of their eyes. After all, you may get more camera angles on TV, but in person there is no substitute for the sounds, the smells and the atmosphere of a live MotoGP event. Fingers crossed you'll be right there again when the 2021 season starts, because MotoGP has definitely missed you. So that's that for part 1. Part 2 of our 2020 MotoGP winners and losers will be right here in a couple of days. Who do you think we should be honouring? Just let us know in the comments below.